Sean?
I can't believe I'm doing this.
I wanna hero your academia. Deku, you bugger. Get over here.
Is that the plot of My Hero Academia? Because that's what the fandom thinks it might be. I'm joking. Please don't come for me. Right. Joking aside, today we're going to be focusing on someone else relevant to the My Hero Academia fandom. And they're not even canon. Introducing Enji Todoroki's mother, TEKA, created by the artist AckerBangBang, as they're known on Instagram and Twitter. They go by Acker for short. I'm not entirely sure the pronouns that Acker uses, so I'll just be referring to them with they, them. I'm aware that they draw themselves femininely, so I guess keep that in mind. However, it's best not to assume. Anyway, Acker describes himself as an artist that draws fan art, mainly My Hero Academia, including their most popular ongoing series of works being the story of TEKA, Yoshino, and their son, Enji. This is an AU that was created based off the world of My Hero Academia, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. I got this information from their Patreon, which I linked below if you would like to support them. They do NSFW there, however, so I will not be discussing any part of that. It's just not something I cover. Moving on, TEKA was first posted on Instagram on January the 11th, 2020. I think everyone who's even remotely has been near the fandom of My Hero Academia has seen these two images, alongside the following which Acker posted later. Now, the comments talk like there were more posted before these images, and that might be the case, but I just don't know. Acker might have just privated the older pieces. Now for the lore! Acker conveniently uploaded an AU summary recently, which I will be reading off and getting most of my information from, as well as just going back and seeing what changed and the other aspects of the story. Okay, so let's actually introduce TEKA Todoroki. Her quirk is lava/magma, which is most predominantly displayed via her hair. Her birthday is November 20th, she's a model, 5'11", and 70 kilograms, with a BA+ for her blood type. I'm not sure that's relevant, but I think it's relevant because My Hero Academia has a lot of blood-related quirks, so... She's married to Yoshino Todoroki, whose quirk is telekinesis. Birthday, August 8th, same as Enji. He's an investor and financial analyst. 6'1", 79 kilograms, and B positive. Yay! Which is funny because he's very positive. TEKA was adopted at age 4 by an influential and rich Japanese family. She competed in pageants as a child, and due to her quirk, she was considered extremely beautiful, which resulted in a bit of a narcissistic personality developing, as Acker describes it. She began full-time modeling after high school and saw her fame skyrocket. At 20, she was the face of many brands. During this time, she met Yoshino, who is one of the richest men in Japan at the time. Now, the age that they met was actually changed. Originally, they met when TEKA was 19. They were married at 21, and 23, TEKA got pregnant, which is something she thought impossible due to her quirk. Explanation on screen. She never wanted kids and only decided to keep the child because it was a dream of Yoshino to be a father. Enji Todoroki was born August 8th as well, who, if you know, is Endeavor from My Hero Academia. Anyway, since TEKA's career lied in modeling, the pregnancy took a toll on her mind and body. As described by Acker, she's extremely superficial, and the strain made her resentful towards her son. The two never really connected and only maintained a decent relationship due to Yoshino, who both of them loved deeply. However, tragedy struck, and Yoshino found himself in a villain attack, and whilst trying to save a young girl, he ended up passing away at 41 in the disaster. Enji was about to turn 15 and TEKA 38. This was actually changed as earlier on in the story's development, Yoshino died when Enji was extremely young, most likely 5 to 7-ish. This death meant that TEKA and Enji's relationship was pretty much destroyed. TEKA started to date other men, and when Enji was 18, TEKA moved to Europe with her boyfriend, leaving Enji the inheritance. He never really forgave TEKA for that. Despite this, she was invited to his wedding. They didn't talk at all, and TEKA later moved to Monaco. She hasn't met her grandchildren because of this. Also, Acker developed a gender-bent version of these two who have similar stories except for the relationship between Teiko, which is TEKA, and his daughter. And the reason why it is different is because he didn't have to go through the pregnancy, and his modeling career wasn't at stake, which is a really interesting dynamic to portray in the two different versions of the same character. So that's a summary of the AU. I'll be going into a couple of the relationships and story beats that Acker develops with these characters, so let's jump into it. Now, as I was describing the summary, most of you probably picked up on the fact that TEKA is an extremely flawed character. She's definitely not a good mother and is quite blunt and empathetic. But does that make her a bad character? No! She's an amazingly written character, and it's really quite interesting to see her mindset and relationship to others. Despite not being a warm mother, or really one at all, she wants to try and sustain a healthy family relationship for her husband. Is any of that healthy? No, but it's really interesting to see that unhealthy aspect portrayed in an OC. As so many people don't want to write anything toxic because it might reflect badly on themselves as the author. But Acker writes TEKA as both sympathetic but not excusing her actions. NG hates her and he's justified for it. And yet, you can also understand that because of her career and her own self-image, she would have never been able to get through the toll that pregnancy took on her, which is why I actually love that Acker showed a different relationship between the gender-bent versions of these characters. It really helps flesh out the reasons why TEKA acted the way she did. Okay, so what's the deal with TEKA and Yoshino? Let's explore their story. Acker actually, a while ago, made a comic about them, so let's go through it. Here we join TEKA. She's currently modeling full-time at 19. Acker later gives her another year or two to get to the super famous level, before the events of the comic, but anyway. This comic introduces TEKA's view on herself, as she sees herself as perfection. She notices Yoshino, but doesn't pay much attention to him, until...
later that night, when the catwalk was over. Hey! Oh, wait, I just wanted to congratulate you. You were stunning back there. Can I help you? That's all? Thanks. Bye. Actually, could I get your number? Oh no. I knew that question so damn well.
I've been beating nice-looking guys with a stick since elementary school, and I knew what he wanted.
No. I'm not asking for sex, you know.
Then...
I was hoping you'll go with me to the Star Wars premiere next week. Such a nerd in an executive suit? Well, I was not expecting that. And then we could go to a restaurant, a park, I don't know. Somewhere where we could get to know each other better.
Know each other? Like, no sex at all?
And I will not be opposed if you want to... no, but...
Okay, let me stop you right there. Just give me your number.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
See you later!
Sure.
Lies. I was just saying that to get him off me. I was more than determined to delete his number as soon as I get in my car, but... wait! So annoying, I thought. I forgot to tell you. Call me after 8 PM. At that time, I leave my office.
Got it! What was your name again?
Yoshino Todoroki. I'll be waiting for your call, TEKA. Yoshino Todoroki. Quirk, telekinesis. He can move objects with his mind. Bye! I wasn't surprised he knew my name. As a top model, my face was in many magazines.
Yoshino Todoroki. But man, that Rolls Royce deserves an opportunity, so I changed my mind. Let's give you a chance.
What's your favorite band?
Marilyn Manson.
How long have you been modeling?
Since I was 15.
What sign are you?
Scorpio.
What kind of people do you like the most?
The kind of people who don't ask too many questions.
Sorry, my bad. It's just that I find you so interesting that I want to know about you as much as possible.
Like a lab rat?
No, nothing like that. More like a goddess.
And how do you know what a goddess is like?
I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would say it's someone like you.
Huh. Like me.
Intimidating and hard on the outside, but kind and honest inside.
This guy... I only put my eyes on him because of the money, but today I had the weirdest day of my life. And I kind of enjoyed it. What is this shit I'm feeling? There's something about him that I've never seen before. Something that makes me happy.
Oh man, it's too late. I gotta be in the office tomorrow early in the morning. Want me to take you home?
No, it's okay, I bought my car.
Well then, see you later.
Stop right there! I wasn't sure what I was feeling, but I was sure about one thing. I wasn't gonna let him go. Yoshino, let's do this again.
Teka, are you? Sure!
From then on, we started seeing each other almost every night.
Thanks for putting up with my rather crappy dubbing skills. Anyway, what do we learn from this? That Yoshino is a huge nerd. Also, Teka is quite motivated by several things, like money, which is a really unique motivator for a character, as we learn that she does value things deeper than that, but it's due to her life as a perfect model and the people she's surrounded by that she's just come to expect that within her world. For example, dudes only wanting her for her looks. Yoshino continues to be a positive addition to her life following their continued meetups. Despite Teka's cold nature, ironic, she displays a lot of love towards her husband, and it's quite a cute relationship. But it's also refreshing to see that these two have a shared amount of flaws. I've already mentioned Teka's, but Yoshino can become easily jealous, and this is seen throughout when Teka's doing modeling gigs or when she comes across other guys that she's met before, and has displayed his Karen tendencies, but they work well together and they level each other out. And I really like the comic where Yoshino comforts Teka. It's really quite cute. Yoshino and Enji's relationship is also really nice. It's clear that he cares deeply and tries his best to get Teka and Enji to get along. Plus, I like that it's a really good representation of a father-son dynamic, where the father loves his son. Fathers loving their son? Rarer than you think. Teka also went through a training arc at one point. Not sure if it's still relevant, but this was underwent with I have not caught up on My Hero Academia. Destrio? I love being dyslexic. Anyway, who has a little bit of an infatuation of her? But like I said, I'm not sure if it's canon or not. Still, other notable things that Teka has going on is she cuts her hair like this. She sleeps with a fireproof hair cap. All of her clothes are fireproof. She can withstand lava. She can make lava horses. Volcanoes erupt when she displays too much emotion. Okay, let's have a look at the gender bends, because I really like those ones too. Teiko is like Teka and likes attention. However, Teiko seems to show a more empathetic side. Not to say Teka wouldn't act similarly in similar circumstances, but Teiko seems to be more open with displaying his empathy. He was also expected to be a hero by those around him, making his choice to become a model less something that society expected like Teka, and more a personal victory and choice for him, which is such an interesting narrative flip. Gosh, I love how Acker wrote these alternative versions. He also just seems a lot less stressed than Teka is. Anyway, that's a little overview of Teka and her story. She's single-handedly convinced a portion of the fandom she's canon, which I think is so funny. Also, Acker, if you're watching this, thank you so much for thanking this character. The stories are very well thought through, and you're an incredible artist. Keep it up! And if I got anything wrong, I'm also really sorry. I'm just a viewer. I'm not claiming that anything is correct. Anyway, all of the art that was displayed in this video, minus the speed paint, belongs to AckerBangBang. So, you know, go follow them on their socials. I've linked them down in the description, so go support. And if you want to hear more about famous OCs, maybe you should check out my video on Kate and Alex, the 2000s era OCs that have interesting origins. Anyway, like I said, like if you want, sub if you like. I'll see you later. Good night, Tri-State area.